Welcome back to the channel for a brand new video and also a brand new series. From game week 1 to game week 46, will be predicting Sky Bet League 2 fixtures. I'm going to get a guest on every single week as well to obviously discuss that week's individual fixtures. Today's guest is Ethan, obviously very well known on the channel. And obviously we'll be continuing making content for the channel and helping out with content throughout the season, as always, like he did last year, especially on the fan cams and match reactions and stuff like that. But before we get into the video, make sure to smash a like on the video. Get your match day 1, game week 1 predictions in the comment section down below. And yeah, make sure you are subscribing. We have recently hit 3.4k subscribers, so we are on the road to 3.5k, so make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, and let's get into some game 1 fixtures. Enjoy the video and thanks for watching. So then, the first game of the weekend, first game of League 2 in general this season, and it starts off with a Friday night game at the SMH Arena, or SMH Stadium, between Chesterfield and Swindon. Obviously, newly promoted Chesterfield back in the Football League. Swindon made some shrewd business. It's a really good opening game to see where both teams are at. Obviously, one is predicted for promotion, another one is predicted to, maybe challenge the playoff places. I think this is going to be a really good game, in my opinion. However, I have gone for the newly promoted side, Chesterfield. I think that Chesterfield are going to win this 2-1. I like Swindon's signings. I don't like Swindon in general, as you know, but I like their signings. I like who they've brought in. Ollie Clark's a great signing. Delaney at the back, Grant Hall. They have made some really good signings, but I'm going to go Chesterfield 2, Swindon 1. What I'm going to do is my prediction, and then the guest will have their prediction after mine. So, Ethan, take it away.
Yes, guys, Ethan back again for the new season. I'm sure if you watched the channel last season, you would have saw me on a lot of content, and we're back again for the new season. I'm buzzing to be able to go back to the football. It's been a long 3-ish months, but it's good to have football back. It's good to be able to go back to watch Newport, and hopefully we can end the streak, because you need to remember we're still on an 8-game loss streak in the league, so hopefully that ends on Saturday. But the first game that we're looking at, of course, is Chesterfield versus Swindon, and I mean, it's going to be a close game, in my opinion. Some people think Chesterfield will just run away with it. I don't think that's going to happen, because they're coming back into a new league. It's going to be a different environment, and Swindon know how to get the job done in this league, and they've been here and they've done it and they've been successful. I'm not saying Chesterfield haven't, but with that in mind, I do think Chesterfield will win it, because I think they have more quality. And I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Chesterfield. I think for Swindon, Paul Glatzel will score a goal, because he's been pretty decent for Swindon last season, and I feel like he'll kick on this season for them. And for Chesterfield, I reckon Paddy Madden's going to get a brace on his debut.
The next game then is AFC Wimbledon against Colchester United. Now, a lot of people are saying that Colchester, are terrible and stuff like that, and predicting them to be down there in the relegation battle. As we know from my table prediction video yesterday, I did put a bold shout saying that saying that Colchester will finish inside the top half. I don't think many people are going to be saying the exact same thing as me, but this one is AFC Wimbledon against Colchester United, and I'm actually going to go with a draw in this one. I'm going to go AFC Wimbledon 1, Colchester United 1. I just look at what Colchester could do on the break and in the final third. I know AFC Wimbledon are a very good side. I think it's going to be a good game as well between AFC Wimbledon and Colchester. Two good managers up against each other. Johnny Jackson up against Danny Cowley. I think it's going to be a good tactical battle, and I'm going to go for AFC Wimbledon 1, Colchester United 1.
Next is AFC Wimbledon versus Colchester. Now, in my opinion, I think Colchester are there as one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, I feel like they should have gone down last season. If it wasn't for Forest Green and Sutton being absolutely appalling, they were down there. Now, I do think they've recruited some good players, Colchester, in terms of Jack Payne's a good sign-in. But I just think Wimbledon have way too much quality for them. They've signed Alistair Smith in centre mid. They've got Matt Stevens, who is a really good striker. They brought him in. And they've got Owen Goodman, who was at Colchester last season and loan in goal. So he's going to be very aware of his surroundings playing Colchester. So with that in mind, I'm going to go with a 1-0 Wimbledon win. And and I think it's going to be Alistair Smith to get the goal, purely just down to Wimbledon being at home and just the atmosphere Wimbledon make, as they've got a great fan base. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Wimbledon to win this game 1-0.
Next then, it is Barrow against Crewe Alexandra. Again, another difficult one, in my opinion, to decide and to give my prediction on. Barrow, again, without Pete Wild, how are they going to cope this season, and how are Crewe Alexandra going to cope this season after missing out on promotion last season, losing to Crawley 2-0 at Wembley. However, I do think that Crewe Alexandra are going to be too much for Barrow in this one. I think Crewe have got a better squad, got better players. It'd be interesting to see how Omar Bogle does. Obviously, they've lost Courtney Baker-Richardson but brought in Bogle. I'm going to go for Barrow 1, Crewe Alexandra 2. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I do think that Crewe Alexandra will edge it.
Right, next is Barrow versus Crewe Alexandra. Now, this is going to be a tasty matchup. Both teams were up and around the playoffs Both teams were up and around the playoffs in the season just gone, and I feel like Crewe haven't really done a lot this transfer window. They've brought in Omar Bogle, who of course was pretty prolific at Newport, my club up the county. But I don't think Omar Bogle's going to be the same, because he picked up a few injuries last season and he hasn't looked the same. So I'm not sure whether Crewe will be able to live up with Barrow, as Barrow have some pretty decent players in terms of Conor Mahoney. They've still got now Canavan at the back. They've still got Farman in goal. They've done well to hold on to a few of their players, Barrow, but they both teams haven't really brought in anyone really. So I'm just going to go with a 0-0 for that game. I don't think it's going to be much to edge the two teams, and I reckon it'll be a decent game footballing wise, but not a very interesting game. Boring 0-0.
So then it is the big one, Cheltenham Town against Newport County. Now, obviously, not going to the game. I will be doing a live watch along for this game between Cheltenham and Newport. It's going to be a difficult one for us, I think. I know Cheltenham have, a lot of people are fancying them to, just be mid-table, but they have got some dangerous players. Ryan Bowman is a dangerous player. Ryan Haynes from left-back, is decent going forward, and same as Lewis Payne as well on the other side. And they've got some decent players in midfield like Harry Pell. However, I do think that this Newport County team will do some damage to this league this year. I don't think I think we'll finish 15th, 16th in that area, but I do think we're going to pick up a few nice away wins, and I do think we're going to start the season off with 3 points. I've gone for Cheltenham 0, Newport County 1. Goal scorer for my prediction, I'm going to go Courtney Baker-Richardson. I think Baker Richardson is going to get his mark tagged off away from home against Cheltenham in this one. So I'm going to go Cheltenham Town 0, Newport County 1. That is my prediction.
Right, now on to the big one for me, Newport versus Cheltenham. I'm going to be going to the game. I've got my tickets sorted. Me and James, if you remember James from last year as well, will be up there. But this is a tough one to think about, because we have signed so many new players. It's either going to go good or it's going to go bad. But Cheltenham have also done the same. They've got a lot of new players coming in. And the way I see this game panning out, I feel like we can come away with a point 100%. But my gut is telling me that we're going to get the win. I don't know what it is. I just feel like we're going to be able to smash them. But with Michael Flynn as a manager, it's always going to be a tough game, and we know this. But I just feel like they haven't got a good enough team. I think that they've got their strike force is very old, and I feel that they lack pace. Their defence is definitely shaky. Lewis Payne's going to be a target for our wingers, as we know he can't defend very well, as he was at us last season. So in that in mind, I'm going to go over 2-1 County win. I just feel like we're going to get it over the line. I feel like we're going to prove something, and it's going to be a confidence booster for the start of the season, and it's going to shock a lot of people. I think for Cheltenham, Luke Young will score a goal from outside the box. I just don't know why. Luke Young, just obviously good player. And for Newport, I think it's going to be Courtney Baker-Richardson to get our first, and then Michael Spellman off the bench to get our second and win the game, I reckon.
So then, Doncaster Rovers against Accrington Stanley. I think this one is going to be a pretty comfortable home win, if I'm being brutally honest. I think you look at Doncaster's squad, Jordan Gibson they've signed. They've already had George Miller, Luke Molyneux, Joey Ironside. They've signed, not Joey Ironside. Yes, they do have Joey Ironside, sorry. And obviously they brought in the main man up front, Billy Sharp. I think that Doncaster are going to beat a lot of teams this season, and I think they're going to get the upper hand against Accrington Stanley. I've gone for Doncaster Rovers 2, Accrington Stanley 0, and I do think that man Billy Sharp will grab a goal or two in this one. Like I said, 2-0 win for Doncaster. I just don't see how Accrington can really cause any real damage to this Doncaster Rovers team. I've gone 2-0 to Donny.
Right, Doncaster versus Accrington Stanley. Now, in my opinion, you'd be stupid to not say Doncaster are winning this game. Accrington Stanley are down there to probably down there for relegation fodder. They've lost very important players in terms of Tommy Lee, and they've lost Jack Nolan, who were the two main men. Now, they haven't really brought anyone that good in. They've brought in Farron Rawson, Donald Love are the notable ones, but other than that, they've not strengthened. They've got a lot worse than you could see last season where they dropped off. They've got a couple of old heads, but I don't think it's enough. So personally, I think it's going to be a thrashing. I reckon Doncaster are going to win 3-0. And I'm not going to be able to tell who the goal scores are. I just reckon it's going to be a 3-0 thrashing.
Next then, it is the Cod Army against the Mariners. Fleetwood Town taking on Grimsby Town. I think this one's going to be quite a ball fest, if I'm brutally honest. I think Fleetwood are going to try and to be settling into the league, trying to settle how this season's going to go for them, where I think Grimsby are not going to do much this season, if I'm brutally honest. And I do think there's only a one-goal game. I've gone Fleetwood Town 1, Grimsby Town 0. This one screams ball fest, if I'm being brutally honest. Fleetwood have just come down. They're going to be a bit apprehensive going into the league, into League 2. Grimsby were poor last season for the majority of it, and I just don't see there being many goals in this one. Fleetwood Town 1, Grimsby Town 0 is my prediction.
Right, we've got Fleetwood versus the Mariners, Grimsby Town. Now, this is quite a hard game to predict because I don't really know a lot about Fleetwood, as they've just come down. I know they signed Mark Helm from Burton, who looks to be a good player, and then Grimsby have signed that. I can't know how to say it. I think it's Sofadson, some Icelandic striker. Those are the two notable ones I've seen, but I'm gonna go with a Fleetwood. I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw. I reckon Donovan Wilson will score for Grimsby Town off the bench, and for Fleetwood, Mark Helm, I reckon, will score a penalty. So there, 1-1, Grimsby and Fleetwood.
Next up is a potentially incredible encounter. It is Gillingham taking on Carlisle United at Priestfield. And I've gone for a very high-scoring game. I've gone Gillingham 2, Carlisle United 2. I think there will be goals in this one, and I think there's going to be quite a few of them, because both teams, I feel, are going to be very attacking this season. Very, scoring a lot of goals, might concede a lot the other way, but I am going to go for a 2-2 Desmond score here. And I look at both teams' attacks, and they're very capable of scoring, goals, but then their defence behind the attack and midfield are very capable of conceding a lot of chances and goals as well. However, all that being said, I do think that this is going to be a 2-2 draw. Could maybe be a 0-0, knowing my luck now, but I've gone Gillingham 2, Carlisle United 2.
Gillingham and Carlisle. Now, this is a big matchup. Two big teams going head-to-head on the first day. Now, Carlisle have got a really well-strengthened team. They do have Charlie Wyke up front as well, who's an amazing striker for this level, and he will bag goals. But Gillingham also have a pretty solid team. They have players like Shadrach Oji, they have Johnny Williams in midfield, they have Andrews up front, who's a big presence. So it's going to be a very good game, very tight game. But I feel like Carlisle will just edge it in terms of quality, and I reckon it'll be a 2-1 win to Carlisle, because I reckon Charlie White will get that brace. And for Gillingham, I reckon Johnny Williams will score from midfield, but Carlisle will have just about enough to take over the line and win the game.
So then, Harrogate Town against the League 2 New Boys. Never been at this level in their 123rd year history, or 128th. I think one of those two are correct. Now, as much as I don't think Harrogate are going to do much this season, I feel like Harrogate are going to really stamp their authority on this one and show that they're probably not going to go down. I've gone for a bit of an out there scoreline. I've gone Harrogate Town 3, Bromley 1. I do think Bromley going to get a goal. Probably Michael Cheek will probably be the man to get it. And I don't think Harrogate will score more than 2 often this season. So, predicting them to score 3 goals in the opening game is probably as best a result they probably will get throughout the season, because I just don't see many goals in their team. All being said, I have gone for 3 in this one. I've gone Harrogate Town 3, Bromley 1.
Harrogate versus Bromley. Now, this seems like such a tin pot matchup. They're probably 2 of the smallest teams in the league. No offence to anyone that supports them, I'm just saying it, but I feel like Harrogate have not strengthened. From what I've seen, they've barely made any signings. They've lost Odo to Peterborough, who was a very important player to them. And Bromley haven't signed that many. The noticeable one that I've seen was Omar Sawumni, who they picked up from Sutton, who's a pretty decent centre back. But this just screams bog standard 0-0 for me. I don't think there's going to be very much in it. Bromley are going to be a bit shaky coming up for the first time in League Two, and Harrogate I just don't think have that strength up front yet. So unless they sign a few in the next couple of days, I don't know. But at the moment, I'm saying 0-0.
Well then, is this the best game of the game week? You'll have to let me know in the comment section down below. MK Dons against Bradford City. Now, MK Dons are my tip to go on and win the league. Bradford are my tip to finish in 7th. This is a bit of a really encouraging game to start the League 2 season off. I have gone for another goal fest. I've gone for MK Dons 3, Bradford City 2. I think this is going to be a really good game. You've got Andy Cook. You've got Callum Kavanagh, you've got Jamie Walker for MK Dons, you've got Callum Hendry. You've got players in both squads that can score goals and teams that are very good going forward. So yeah, I'm going to go for MK Dons 3, Bradford City 2. I do think it's going to be a very, very good game at Stadium MK. Watch it be a 0-0 again in this one.
Right. We got franchise versus the most annoying fan base in the league, MK Dons and Bradford City. Now, MK Dons, my God, they're one of the favourites. They've got an unbelievable team. Their summer transfer business has been exceptional, but so has Bradford's. Bradford also have a very strong team. Most notably, they've got Sarcevic, and they've managed to get Tyrick Wright on a permanent. And MK Dons have brought in Tommy Lee from Accrington Stanley, which is a brilliant addition. And they've also brought in Liam Kelly from Crawley, who is also an amazing centre mid who shouldn't be in this league. So it's going to be a very big game. But it's going to take one moment of magic to edge it, I reckon, because it's going to be so even. And I just reckon that MK Dons just have that strength, especially now they've got Lawrence Maguire, another one who they've added to the ranks. I just feel like it's going to be a 1-0 win to MK Dons. And I reckon it's going to be Tommy Lee, the new boy in his debut, to get the goal.
Penultimate game of the game week then is Tranmere Rovers taking on Notts County. Now, Tranmere Rovers, I probably did do them a bit of discredit in my prediction video, putting them to finish like 19th, I think it was. I was only doing that based off I just don't know if they've got the quality in the team. And however, I may have said that in my prediction video, but I do think this is going to be a very good opening game. And I've gone for my second Desmond of the predictions video. I've gone for Tranmere Rovers 2, Notts County 2. Connor Jennings, if he could bag goals, if Christian Dennis and Amari Patrick or Josh Davison can get a few goals or get goals in this game, I do think it's going to be an entertaining one. And, the other side, Notts County, have got goal scorers in their team as well. I've gone for Tranmere Rovers 2, Notts County 2.
Right, next is Tranmere Rovers versus Notts County. Now, this is a interesting matchup, to say the least. I mean, Tranmere, for me, the main signing I've seen them get is Cameron Norman, who of course was at us a couple of years ago when was at MK Dons last season. Of course, a brilliant player if you can get him in the right system. But I just feel like Tranmere are going to struggle against Alexandra Jatta, who a lot of people, in terms of EFL content creators, have been saying that it's up there to get top scorer. Like they have lost Macaulay Langstaff, who is, of course, an amazing player, but they still kept Jody Jones. They've still got Dan Crowley. And I just feel like the service to Jatta is just going to prove too much for Tranmere's backline, especially if they got Drysdale playing, who's a very shaky centre-back. So I think Notts County are going to win this one 2-1. I think Jatta and Dan Crowley will get the goals for Notts County. And I reckon for Tranmere, Norman will get a goal off a corner, which will be a header.
So then the final game of the game week is at the Bestcott Stadium, the Poundland Bestcott Stadium, Walsall against Morecambe. A team in Walsall that could easily do damage this season against a Morecambe side who I think will finish bottom of the league and get relegated. I do think that the Saddlers will start their League 2 campaign off with a good start. I've gone for Walsall 3, Morecambe 0. I'll just look at Morecambe defensively and the amount of players they've signed. Can they all gel in the same settling in period? Is it going to be too much for them? You know, all these questions are yet to be answered, but I've gone Walsall 3, Morecambe 0.
And to round off our results, we'll round off the games for this upcoming weekend, as I should say. We've got Walsall versus Morecambe. Now, Morecambe, they've made a lot of signings, but they have practically built a whole new squad. The most notable signings they've made being Adam Lewis, who of course was one of the fan favourites at County for the last 2 seasons, and George Ray, who they've gotten from released from Barrow. But I just don't see Morecambe being a team that's going to really challenge this season. And Walsall, don't get me wrong, they've kept a solid basis. They've been able to keep Farker Haas, and they've brought David Akagbu back in. So they're not really going to have to worry about changing a whole different system. And the additions of Charlie Lackin as well in that team is going to be, I think, what takes them past Morecambe in this game. And I think it's going to be a 1-0 win with Charlie Lackin, the man I said, getting the goal, as he proved last season at Sutton that he's a very good player and a very talented player. And I reckon he will be the difference in that game. And that's right. That rounds it up. That's our predictions for this upcoming match day weekend. And let's hope County can get a result, as of course we are County fans. But we hope you enjoyed this predictions video. Let us know what you think of certain games, what you think the score is going to be. But yeah, last but not least, you know the good old saying, up the county, come on. Make sure you like, share and subscribe to the Mike Green YouTube channel. Come on.
There we are, guys. That is the end of the video. Big shout out to Ethan for sending his predictions in. We will get a second guest and a new guest for episode 2 to get those predictions out there as well. So, you know, stay tuned for the channel. If there are any content creators in the comment section that would like to, obviously, take part in one of these episodes, do let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll get that sorted. We'll get you as a guest for the show. I've got 3 or 4 guests for the next few weeks sorted anyway, so we won't need you for a few episodes. But anyway, make sure you smash that like button. Let me know your predictions down below, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Best of luck to every team this weekend, apart from Swindon. That's a joke. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And hopefully I get some good predictions right. I will be doing a spreadsheet as well, by the way, guys. So I'll have a spreadsheet of all of my predictions, all of the guests. And at the end of the series, we'll see who comes out on top, me or the guests. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Up the county.